Wikipedia is a joke. We're not even hurting Russia. So like, what the hell are we doing?
Is Tucker arguing that sanctions should be way harsher?
Policymakers in the US who've used Ukraine as a vessel for their ambitions, their geopolitical.
Bro, Russia attacked Ukraine.
It's just bad to have a war.
God, this guy is just so stupid.
But if you like sincerely care about Ukraine or Russia or whatever.
Or Russia. Yeah, it's not that Russia's good. It's that US is bad. Is Tucker a Hassan viewer, by the way?
It's not something that just appears organically.
What? Crime doesn't appear organically, guys. Tucker is right. You know, in USSR, people were thin because there weren't food, okay? That is freedom. I was looking at Telegram today, and I found this clip.
For continuing the war is denazification.
I thought it was one of the dumbest things I'd ever heard. I didn't even understand what it meant. Denazification?
It literally means what it sounds like.
You know, I mean, I have a lot of thoughts on this. I hate that whole conversation because it's not real. It's just ad hominem. It's a way of associating someone with an evil regime that doesn't exist anymore. But in point of fact, Nazism, whatever it was, is inseparable from the German nation. It was a nationalist movement in Germany. There were no other Nazis, right?
I was like, oh, a reasonable position? What else is he gonna say? So I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch the whole thing. And oh boy, this is not all of the interview. And I only watched 1 hour and a half. And I started about half an hour in having timestamps. Every time Tucker Carlson says something retarded, bro. What am I mad about? Well, you're gonna see. Tucker doesn't believe in leaders. Let's take a listen.
You said leaders kill, leaders lie.
Yeah. I don't believe in leaders very much. Like this whole like, oh, Zelensky's Jesus and Putin's Satan. It's like, no, they're all leaders of countries, okay? Like, grow up a little bit, you child. Have you ever met a leader? Like, first of all, anyone who seeks power is damaged morally, in my opinion.
Have you ever seen a leader, Tucker? Do you understand the difference between a person who is power hungry, who is a dictator, who controls people, and the leader, a person who leads people, a person that people want to follow? Those are two very different things. And saying that Putin is leader just like Zelensky is absolutely idiotic thing to say out loud.
You can't seek power or wealth for its own sake and remain a decent person. That's just true.
It is true that you can't just like, I want more power, I want more wealth. But I don't believe anyone in the whole world thinks that way. Elon Musk may be the greediest person in the world, but he doesn't want money just for the sake of money. Money enables him to do things that he wants to do. Putin also is power hungry, but he is not power hungry just to have more power. He wants to achieve some things, and things that these people want to achieve are just idiotic. They're idiotic, and in the case of Elon Musk, it's idiotic. In case of Putin, it's genocidal and harmful. And equating him, saying that he and Zelensky are just leaders. Zelensky is a leader. Putin is not a leader. He's a dictator.
So there aren't any like really virtuous billionaires, and there aren't any really virtuous world leaders.
There are. Virtues are things that people believe are good for humanity, and they follow them, right? There are billionaires. I believe Warren Buffett is donating a lot of his wealth. I'm kind of talking out of my ass here, but there's plenty of billionaires that do good with their money, and it's been done historically. Many of them realize wasn't like recently in news there was a woman who got like her husband died or something, and she got like billions of euros, and she just paid for tuition for the whole university or something like that, donated like $1 billion or something crazy. There are virtuous people that have the capacity and they do virtuous things. Just because they're rich doesn't mean they can't do anything virtuous, or just because they have a lot of power doesn't mean they can't do anything good for the world. Zelensky is protecting his people. Is that a bad thing? Is he protecting Ukrainians at the expense of others? No.
You have grades of virtue. Some are better than others, for sure. But, I mean, in other words, Zelensky may be better than Putin. I'm open to that possibility.
I'm open to that possibility. I personally myself don't see it. I'm open to that possibility.
But to claim that one is evil and the other is virtuous, it's like you're revealing that you're a child. You don't know anything about how.
Tucker Carlson doesn't understand what the word leader means. Calls everyone else a child. Very mature behavior, Tucker.
How the world actually is, or what reality is. Like it's
That's quite a realist perspective, but there.
Tucker Carlson talking about what's real, what reality is. Okay, let's take a look at the next clip, okay? Tucker Carlson wants a safe and good America.
enslavement looks like. And so I'm just saying, raise your expectations a little bit. You can have a clean, functional, safe country. Crime is totally optional. Crime is something our leaders decide to have or not have.
What?
It's not something that just appears organically.
What? Crime doesn't appear organically, guys. It's just what presidents decide. Okay, in this area, there's going to be 35% of crime this year. In that area, it's going to be a little lower because last year it was a little bit too much. We're going to lower crime in that area a little bit.
I wrote a book about crime 30 years ago.
Wow. What a worthless waste of time that was, I guess, from his side and people who read it.
I've thought a lot about this. You have as much crime as you put up with.
Thinking for Tucker must be very difficult if he thought so much about it and just says the most unhinged, stupid, baseless thing.
Period. And it doesn't make you less free to not tolerate murder. In fact, it makes you unfree to have a lot of murders.
He's talking in the context, like, comparatively between Russia and America. Does he even understand the level and crime statistics in Russia? This is after. This is just came out.
And so but it makes me sad that people are like, well, I guess this is, I can't like live in New York City anymore because of inflation and filth and illegal aliens.
Inflation. What is inflation levels in America again?
People shooting each other, but I'm
people shooting each other. I'm sorry, Tucker. Aren't you in favor of guns, or is that? You're just upset that people are bad, not that people shoot each other. You think that if they wouldn't have guns, they would just be stabbing each other. Okay, got it.
glad because this is vibrant and strong and free. It's like, that's not freedom actually at all.
That's not freedom. Real freedom, guys, is in Russia. When a political opponent was killed, the biggest political opponent was killed in prison, and now they're trying to bury him, but the state does not allow anyone to visit the place of burial, actually. They don't allow the body to be transported. They already preparing barriers and fortifications for the people coming in. That's what freedom is like. Well, at least, at least it's clean, and I don't see any stats about crime. Good one.
Point is well taken. You can have both, but do you regret?
We had both. That's the point. We had both.
America was great once, but Tucker just chooses to ignore all of the crime stats, all of the polls. Tucker just believes in what he sees, apparently. Let's take a listen.
Why are we doing this? It's forcing the rest of the world into a block against us called BRICS. They're getting...
Oh, yeah. Why? Tucker has a question. But why? U.S. sanctions Russia. Don't understand.
It would be not, and I've done this a lot, not giving it context, not fully explaining why are we doing this. Mm-hmm. The grocery store, I was shocked by the prices. And yes, I'm familiar with exchange rates.
Tucker is familiar with the exchange rate, but what Tucker is not familiar with is apparently average salary rate in Russia.
But very familiar with exchange rates. But those and I adjusted them for exchange rates. And this is 2 years in to sanctions, total isolation from the West. So I would expect, in fact, I did expect until I got there, that their supply chains would be crushed. How do you get good stuff if you don't have access to Western markets?
West is bad, but West produces the good stuff, the best stuff. But at the same time, the West is powerless because sanctions against Russia do not work. Because in Russia, there's Western good products. But the sanctions hurt the West. The economy is being hurt by us sanctioning Russia. How is it hurt? Well, because you cut off Russia from buying your products. But Tucker, they do have the products there. You say sanctions don't work. Well, how does that work inside his head? I just don't understand. West economically losing because they're sanctioning Russia, but Russia still buys products from the West. So sanctions don't work. But they work against America. But no. That's right. It works against America because big alliances like BRICS are being formed.
Didn't fully get the answer because I was occupied doing other things when
that have been formed from 2000s, and that
I was there, but somehow they have.
Propaganda was saying, "Oh, BRICS are gonna be so good,"
and that's
every year. BRICS is like BRICS next year. BRICS is gonna crush you, and it's always the next year.
The point. And they haven't had the supply chains problems that I predicted. In other words, sanctions haven't made the country noticeably worse. Okay.
Tucker doesn't understand how economy works, but it's okay. We all used to Tucker not understanding anything he's talking about.
Again, this is commentary of the United States and our policymakers. Why are we
Yeah, it's not that Russia's good. It's that U.S. is bad.
doing this?
Is Tucker Hassan viewer, by the way?
It's forcing the rest of the world into a block against us called BRICS.
The rest of the world, the countries that cannot agree on a single currency, the countries that don't want to trade with each other because U.S. sanctions, we can... China is not trading on the same level. They are buying some of... China has more trade with Russia than before, but what type of trade? Mostly it's energy resources, because Russia doesn't have the European market to sell the energy resources to. So they're lowering the price and selling it to China and India. But even India is like Bloomberg just reported, then India is looking for oil in other countries because US sanctions are actually do work. And they do limit the trade with Russia. They're trying to agree with Saudi Arabia, and even with the Russian oil getting cheaper, or they're getting it cheaper, it's still not good for them. Okay, but sanctions don't hurt Russia. They don't.
They're getting off the US dollar. That will mean a lot of dollars are going to come back here and destroy our economy and impoverish this country. So they're
going to destroy the economy. Every year, BRICS is like, BRICS is going to destroy the economy. American economy is going to get destroyed. Next year, it's going to be over. It's going to be every year.
Consequences, the stakes are really high.
The stakes are so high. The economy is going to, U.S. economy is doing better than ever. It's just, calm before the storm, man.
They're huge. And we're not even hurting Russia. So what the hell are we doing?
What the hell are we doing, guys? Not hurting Russia. Or at least Tucker didn't see it when he went to a Russian supermarket.
One, on the subway.
Is Tucker arguing that sanctions should be way harsher?
That subway was built by Joseph Stalin.
Oh, they're talking about the Moscow subway and how pretty the Moscow subway is.
Right before the Second World War.
You know how in Iran, there's also some places that are very well kept and very clean?
War. I'm not endorsing Stalin. Obviously, Stalinism.
You know how countries that are corrupt and have regimes do like investing into big, beautiful buildings to, look how pretty it is. Look how good it is to live here. Oh, but I don't like it. Oh, you don't like it? Well, it's not allowed here. You're only allowed to like things here, okay? So they don't even say please. They just say, off you go to the jail. Jog on then.
Is the thing that I hate, and I don't want to come to my country. I'm making the obvious point that for over 80 years, you've had these frescoes and chandeliers. Maybe they've been redone or whatever, but somehow the society has been able to not destroy what its ancestors built. The things that are worth having, and there are a lot.
He's obviously saying that Americans destroy what their ancestors build. I don't want to like shit on American history. That is like a fraction of the world history. The country didn't exist for that long. What did you destroy? Didn't you have? I don't understand how you can shit on a country that has the biggest military and the biggest economy in the world and is literally like the leader, of the free world basically. And this guy just says everything is over for America. What the fuck is wrong with him?
And that, like, why don't we have that?
I've seen a metro. Why don't we have a good, pretty metro? Tucker, are you in favor of public transportation? I have a feeling that you're not.
And
I have a feeling that you're in favor of the freedom of cars everywhere. Public transport? Nah. Been anti-trains for decades.
plane.
Anti-trains or anti-trans?
Like, why can't I have a subway station like that?
Why can't you? Because you're against that, Tucker.
Can't my
You're lobbying against it.
children who live in New York City ride the subway? A lot of people I know who live in New York City are afraid to ride the subway. Young women especially. That's freedom? No.
Young women afraid in New York subway.
Oh, again, it's slavery. And if Putin can do this, why can't we? Like, what? It's not, in other words, I mean, this is like so obvious. I'm a traitor. Okay. So if I'm calling for American citizens to demand more from their government and higher standards for their own society, and remember that just 30 years ago, we had a
But you're against it, Tucker. You're against it.
much different and much happier and cleaner and healthier society.
Is he just says that because he's old boomer? Because he was like, man, I was young like 20, 30 years ago. Life was so much better for me.
Wasn't fat with diabetes at 40 from poisoned food.
Poison food, not lack of self-control, of course.
Like,
With the plethora of options that are available to you. Okay. You know, Tucker is right. You know, in USSR, people were thin because there weren't food. Okay? That is freedom.
how is that? I'm not a traitor to my country. I'm a defender of my country. By the way, the people calling me a traitor, they're all like, you know, whatever. They're not.
Whatever.
I would not say they're people who put America's interests first.
But there,
So what the fuck is that laugh? Also, unhinged. Okay, next clip. Topsen, these clips are out of context. Okay. Tucker trusts his eyes,
Home from Wesleyan,
not internet.
and you're like, oh, you have ground. That is true for the world around us as well. And most of our assumptions about immigration, about our economy, about our tax system are completely outdated.
Assumptions, guys. Assumptions about everything.
If you compare them to the current reality.
Oh,
And so I'm just for updating my files, and I have a big advantage over you because I am middle-aged, and so I don't
you've called yourself old so many times throughout.
I
this
don't
conversation.
trust my perceptions of things, so I'm constantly trying to be like, is that true?
Yeah.
Tucker asking himself, is that true? No way. But how does he verify it?
I should go there.
Oh, he just goes to the places
You know, I should see it.
and sees for himself
And
a little slice of everything that's going on. You know, to understand how all Russians live in Russia, I'm gonna go to Moscow, and I'm going to be with a KGB unit. I'm going to be taken to the most propaganda-esque places to form my degenerate opinion that I already held, by the way.
I guess
Before.
just in the end, I trust direct perceptions. Like I don't
Direct perceptions. Until I see it myself, until I, history, fuck that shit, okay? The only way I could believe in history, if I would learn history, archaeology, and build the electron microscopes that they use to carbon date things. I need to have PhD in physics. I need to have PhD in optics. I need to have PhD in history, in archaeology, to understand if dinosaurs were real.
trust the internet, actually.
I don't trust the internet, guys. Internet? People who study things their whole life, and then they give you an answer on a specific topic that took them years to research. That's bullshit.
Wikipedia is a joke.
Wikipedia is a joke, guys. The real information is Putin blabbing about for history for 1.5 hours and then giving him historic documents that were translated to Russian from which language?
Wikipedia could not be more dishonest. It's certainly in the political categories or things that I know a lot about. Occasionally I read an entry written about something that I saw or know the people involved, and I'm like,
That he saw, guys.
well, that's a complete liar. You left out the most important fact. And it's like,
Most important fact. Tucker, a person well known to give unbiased, well-weighted, factual opinions on things that happen.
it's not a reliable guide to reality or history. And that will,
What is Tucker? What is a reliable guide to history? Looking at things? Oh man, I guess we'll never know what happened. Human memory is such a, it's such a good thing, Just everyone has, remember how everyone has perfect photographic memory and can recall things instantaneously with minute detail about every moment of their life that happened? Man, that is so cool. I want to just go and touch things and talk to people and just remember all that stuff and form my opinion about the world that way. That's going to be way more productive. Next clip. Tucker has an advice if you don't know something.
I would just recommend to everyone watching this, like, you think you know, like, if you're really interested, if you're one of those people, and I'm not one, but who's like waking up every day and you've got a Ukrainian flag on your mailbox or whatever, you're,
God forbid I'm not the person who has a Ukrainian flag, because, supporting a country that fights for literally American values like freedom, democracy, right for not self-determination, but you know what I mean. God forbid be supporting those ideals.
or Ukrainian lapel pin or it's like absurd theater.
Absurd theater, by the way.
But if you like sincerely care about Ukraine or Russia or whatever,
Or Russia. Listen, hey,
why don't you just hop on a plane for $800 and go see it? Okay, no one that doesn't.
kinda, you know what? If you do care about Russia, you probably should. You should hop on a plane and go there. Take a look.
Doesn't occur to anyone to do that. And I know it's time consuming and kind of expensive, sort of, not really.
Sort of, not really. Just jump on a plane, Who knows? Maybe you're going to be on national news. Yet another person who was detained in Russia to be traded to some fucking murderer that is having a life sentence in a EU or US prison.
But you benefit so much. I mean, I could bore you for like 8 hours. And I know you've had this experience where you think you know what something is, or you think you know who someone is. And then you have direct experience of that.
And then you have a direct experience with that person for half an hour of your life. And you form a indomitable understanding of who that person is. You know how people live together for decades to, and then a situation may happen and your lifelong partner surprises you so much that you decide to divorce them, or you may have even grandkids together and you just understand what kind of person they are. That's all fucking whack shit, bro. The real shit is when you just travel half across the world and you talk to a person for an hour and a half through a intermediator who translates everything that you're saying to each other, and then you really know what's going on inside his head.
That place or person, and you realize all your preconceptions were totally wrong.
Man, everything was wrong.
They were controlled by somebody else. In fact, I won't betray confidences, but off the air, we were talking about somebody, and you said, I couldn't believe the person was not at all like what I thought. Well, that's happened to me.
In the positive direction.
In the positive direction. By the way, for me, it's almost always in that direction.
Almost always.
Most people I meet, and I've had the great privilege of meeting a lot of people over all this time, they're way better than you think, or they're more complicated or whatever. But the point is, a direct experience unmediated by liars, there's no substitute for that.
No substitute, guys. When you're sitting across a person, he'll just tell you everything. He'll just tell you, He will never lie. He will never hide anything from you. He'll just tell you, That's not gullible. That's not simplistic. That's not moronic. That's The beauty of human communicate. What the f is he on? Okay.
And then you whine, and I kind of believed it. And I see it now. Like, we can't even put the word Russia at Wimbledon because it's so offensive. Well, what does the tennis player have to do with it?
What does a tennis player have to do with it? Man, he's so right, huh? Damn. True, how I didn't think. You know, only a tennis player representing a country with the flag, with the, you know, kind of carries everything that the country does because he is the one representing it. If you really care about tennis and you care about people competing, they are allowed to compete without a flag. They're allowed to compete without a country's name, okay? They can do that. They can do that and they can compete. And it matters. It matters. Russia cannot do genocidal, unhinged shit, attacking other countries, murdering, pillaging, destroying. They can't do that and then just pretend like they're part of a normal developed world. It shouldn't work like that.
Did he invade Ukraine? I don't think he did.
Unless you are personally the one invading Ukraine, you're not responsible.
You know, stealing.
You know how when people like Tucker going on unhinged rants, how America is an invasionist, fascist state. You know, everyone who supported people who did the whatever are all culprits. They're all part of it.
All these
But not in Russia. I mean, you know.
business guys yachts and denouncing them as oligarchs. Like, what do they have to do with it? You know,
What is these oligarchs? What do these Russian oligarchs have to do with anything that's going on politically in Russia? Are you insane? What the f are you talking about? How can you say something like this? He tries to jump off this so quickly too.
whatever. Here's my point.
Whatever. Bro, in this interview, he mentioned how with internet, the stuff that people say is, you know, can be clipped and saved forever. Not like it was on live television years ago when he was part of it. We can. Oh, yeah, we can. You f***ing pathetic fuck.
American president, technically, and I don't want to beat up on the American president with a foreigner. I just don't. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, so that's how I...
Old-fashioned. Tucker didn't want to shit on Joe Biden sitting across Putin. I wonder if he's actually old-fashioned or he was afraid that he's going to get sanctioned.
feel. So I didn't push it, but I thought it was really interesting. And because, of course, Putin knows my views on Joe Biden. He knew I applied to the CIA, so they've done some digging on me.
Done some digging. Some intern, Russian KGB, Googled his name.
And but he didn't mention it, and he didn't.
Read Wikipedia probably, but it's false, right? I wonder if it's true. Wikipedia, Tucker Carlson, CIA. Wow, that's an that's a huge article on Tucker Carlson. What do I need to put in quotes? There's so many. Wait a second, there's so many published works or references. Oh, Tucker Carlson tried to join the CIA. Nah, that can't be true. It's on Wikipedia, bro. I mean, there's a reference here. Okay, I'm lazy, whatever. You know, there's a reference here, so, you know, works for me. It's on there.
I know for a fact, because he wants a settlement. And he wants a settlement not because Russia's about to collapse, despite the lying of our media. That's just not true.
Russia's not collapsing, guys. Putin wants to agree because he's winning? No. It's not because of collapsing. Putin wants to agree because...
And no one is even saying it anymore because it's so dumb. He wants to because it's just bad to have a war. And it changes the world in ways you can't predict. People die. Everything about...
Oh, it's just bad to have a war. Oh, the true. God, what a worm this guy is. What a Weasley, what a pathetic loser Tucker Carlson is. Putin wants to end the war because war is bad. He's okay with starting a war, you know? He's like, oh, you know, it's gonna be all right. We're just gonna take Kiev in 3 days, and oh shit, they don't like us. Oh, damn. Man, this war thing is actually horrible stuff, huh? Damn, didn't learn that last time when, you know, we invaded Chechnya, when fighting in Afghanistan, you know, many other numerous conflicts. Oh, it is bad. Oh, the war is bad. Oh, damn. Gotta agree. I mean, you know, only the territories that we invaded and took over, they're gonna stay with us. And that's not negotiable, you know. Let's do peace agreements. Are you going to sacrifice anything? Nah, you do.
About it is sad. And if you can avoid it, you should. So I would like to see a settlement where, look, the thing that Russia wants, and I think probably has a right to, is not to have NATO missiles on its border. Like, I don't...
NATO missiles on the border, like in Finland. Oh, no, not in Finland. Sorry. We're talking about Ukraine. I mean, NATO missiles in Lithuania. Oh, no, in Latvia. Oh, no, in, what's it's called? God, I actually forgot the name. Turkey? In Estonia. I mean, in Estonia. No, but, you know, Kaliningrad, surrounded. Kaliningrad, that is Russian territory, surrounded by NATO countries. NATO missiles on the border. Does this guy know that there are missiles that can fly for thousands of kilometers? Does he understand that? Isn't Russia constantly parading the fact that they have nuclear weapons? What are you talking about?
I don't know why we would do that. I don't know what we get out of it.
You know what people get out of being in NATO, Tucker, is something you really don't understand, as we're going to demonstrate in the following clips.
I just don't even
I'll talk about it.
understand it. I don't understand the purpose of NATO. I don't
Oh, is this the clip?
think NATO is good for the United States.
NATO is not good for United States, guys. You know, United States that trades with Europe for trillions of dollars yearly. You know, one of their biggest partners, one of their not only economically but also politically. You know, America is not really interested in you know, those countries not being involved in war. Because why would they, right?
I think it's an attack on our sovereignty.
NATO is an attack on American sovereignty. A military alliance that NATO, a military alliance at the head of which is America, that has progressive European countries that are economical giants, being in a military alliance with them is just attack on American sovereignty.
I would pull out of NATO immediately if I were the US president, because I don't think it helps the US.
How does it not help the US?
I know a lot of people are getting their bread buttered by NATO. But anyway, that's my view as an American. If I'm a Russian or a Ukrainian, let's just be sovereign countries now.
Do you not understand what the f is NATO? Let's just be sovereign countries. We wanted to be sovereign, and look at what happened. You know, Estonia also wanted to be sovereign, but USSR didn't like it. Look, Google pictures of Tallinn, what they did when they weren't in NATO. You know what NATO does? It stops Russia from invading your country. You know why we were invaded? Because we weren't quick enough in getting into NATO.
Not run by the US State Department.
We want to be sovereign. Russia doesn't want us to be sovereign. It has nothing to do with the missiles on the border, you fucking pathetic loser.
We're just our own countries. Like, I believe in sovereignty, okay? So,
yeah, we also do believe in sovereignty. You know who doesn't?
so that's my view. And I also want to say one thing about Zelensky. I attacked him before because I was so offended by his cavalier talk about nuclear exchange, because it would kill my family. So I'm really offended by that. Anyone who talks that way, I'm offended by.
He's offended by Zelensky, you know, talking about nuclear exchange. What the f are you talking about?
But I do feel for Zelensky. I do. He didn't run for president to have this happen. I think Zelensky's been completely misused by the State Department.
Zelensky misused. Zelensky is used. Ukraine is only a puppet. Are you fucking... Bro, I said this, but like, God, this guy is just so stupid. Oh my God, this guy is so stupid.
By Toria Nuland, by our Secretary of State, by the policymakers in the U.S. who've used Ukraine as a vessel for their ambitions, their geopolitical...
Bro, Russia attacked Ukraine. What, U.S. is pulling the strings? U.S. controls everyone secretly. They control Putin. They control Zelensky. You know, Russia was tricked into this war. Putin didn't just sit for an hour and a half explaining some, like, degenerate, unrelated alternative reality history to your fucking face, trying to justify the war in some roundabout way about, like, that Ukraine never existed, that Ukrainians are just Russians, that it's their territory, and he didn't do that. It's the U.S. pulling the strings because U.S. wants to lose, U.S. and EU want to lose trillions of dollars in economy so that American industrial and European industrial complexes can earn a couple of dozen $1 billion on selling weapons that they can't even produce that quickly because, you know, I guess they prepared poorly for it, you know? They tug all these strings, they put all this together, huge countries fighting each other, hundreds of thousands of people dying, so that they could sell more missiles, but oh, fuck, they forgot to actually make them. Stupid! It's because Joe Biden old. He thought about all of this, but he forgot about the missiles to sell. What is he implying here? There's like millions of absolute idiots. Absolute degenerates consuming his yapping, bro.
Political ambitions, but also the many American businesses who've used Ukraine as a way to fleece the American taxpayer.
In what way? By the way, is there a person in front of him? Is he gonna have any pushback? Bro, Lex Friedman is just Joe Rogan 2.0.
And then by
mother just sits and is like,
just independent ghouls like Boris Johnson are hoping to get rich from interviews on it. Like the whole thing. Zelensky.
Oh yeah, he said that Boris Johnson wants to get rich off of interview with Tucker Carlson because Tucker said that he wants to interview him, but Boris Johnson demands $1 million to have an interview with Tucker. You know, I wouldn't want to sit across the table with this loser for free either, you know?
Zelensky's at the center of this. He's not driving history.
Zelensky is not driving history, you know? He's not making historic speeches in different parliaments across the world. He's not gathering support. He's not supporting his own people, you know? He's not doing what he can to protect the country, you know? He's just...
NATO and the United States is driving history. Putin is driving history. There's this...
He's just, you know, Putin is driving it.
Guy, Zelensky, so... You know, I do feel for him, and I think he's in a perilous place.
Do you think Zelensky's a hero for staying in Kiev? Because I do. To me,
oh shit, Tucker's thinking about it. How can he turn this question around?
You can criticize a lot of things. You should call out things that are obviously positive.
I just tried to a second ago. I don't know the extent that he is in Kiev. He seems to be in the United States an awful lot, like way too much. You can do a satellite interview. You don't have to speak to my Congress. You're not an American. Please leave. Yeah, that's my opinion. But
you're not. You can't talk to my Congress.
You got many zingers, Tucker.
No. It's just heartfelt. It's just bubbling up from the wellspring that never turns off. But I would say this about Zelensky.
Also, how dare he not wear a suit? Am I right? Thank God it wasn't a beige suit. Obama in his beige suit. Am I right, Tucker?
Yeah, to the extent he's in Ukraine, good man. You know, George W. Bush fled Washington on 9/11. I lived...
Zelensky in Ukraine, whatever. America bad, 9/11, George Bush fled. Bro, how is he... brain rot. Motherfucker is brain rotted. he just shits on America every moment he can. America is dirty, everyone's killing each other, metros are shit, presidents are cowards, politicians are corrupt. And then he says, I'm a patriot. Bro, you're a pathetic propagandist. I don't know how you can live with yourself. Let's take a look at another clip.
Whether or not Russia has any territorial ambitions is another question. Like, why would it? It's the largest landmass in the world.
You know, why would Russia have any territorial ambitions? They already have, they're already the biggest country in the world. It doesn't matter how they got all those territories, not through conquest or whatever.
Whatever. But that's why it exists.
Let's move on from that point really quickly.
So if Russia seeks to join NATO...
He's talking about the 2002 or something, whatever, Google it. There was an offer for Russia to join NATO. I actually wanted to Google that on stream because I remember that there was such a thing, but my impression was that it's not Russia who wanted to be part of NATO.
It is by definition a sign that NATO's job is done here.
It was NATO who was offering and Russia to join, and Russia had like some inconceivable demands if they were going to be part of NATO. Russia part of NATO 2002. I guess I was right. Ooh, 2002. Relations between NATO military alliance. Oh, this is Wikipedia. It's gotta be bullshit, guys. Fuck it. Let's read it anyway. The relations between NATO military alliance and Russian Federation were established. Blah blah. Let's see. 2002. NATO-Russia Council, which was established in an effort to partner on security issues and join projects together. Despite efforts to structure forums that promote cooperation between Russia and NATO, relations as of 2024 has become, yeah, of course. They started to substantially deteriorate following Orange Revolution. I can spew a bunch of like factoids. I don't know how coherent that's going to be, but I remember hearing in the news and all like different sources that Russia was trying to cooperate with NATO on the, there was a bunch of like promises, you know, that Ukraine shouldn't be part of NATO, but Russia's not going to be invading other countries and they're going to cooperate and stuff like that. But NATO-Russia Council was created in 2002 NATO summit in Rome. The NRC was designed to replace blah, blah, blah. Cooperation between Russia and NATO focused on several main sectors: terrorism, military cooperation, Afghanistan, fighting terrorism, military cooperation. Man, I just want to like, I want to ask ChatGPT, but I feel like that's like cheating, you know? Read top of that NATO Russia Council. In 2000, Putin told George Robertson, the Secretary General of NATO at the time, that he wanted Russia to join NATO, but would not like to go through the usual application process. In 2001, following September 11 attacks against the United States, Russian President Vladimir Putin reached out to President George Bush, the President of the United States at the time. This was the height of U.S.-Russian relations since the end of the Cold War. Russia shared intelligence that they had with the United States, which provided vital to the U.S. forces in Afghanistan. As a member of NATO, the United States, what does that mean? Unusual application process. Okay, George Robinson, former Labor Defense Secretary who led NATO between, said Putin made it clear that their first meeting that he wanted Russia to be part of Western Europe. They wanted to be part of the secure, stable, prosperous West that Russia was out at the time. As soon as Putin came to power, okay. When are you going to invite us to join NATO? And, well, we don't invite people to join NATO. They apply to join NATO. And he said, well, we're not standing in line with a lot of countries that don't matter. The account chimes with that Putin told the late David Frost in a BBC interview shortly before he was first inaugurated. He said, if and when Russia views are taken into account as those of an equal partner. I can only imagine what equality he was talking about. Okay, this is a rabbit hole, bro. Listen, if you really want to join NATO, you can. And there's been how many countries that joined NATO so far, and how many did after Russia attacked? It seems like if there's political will of a country to do it, it will happen.
We can declare victory and go home. The fact that they turned him down is like so
NATO just turned down Putin. They just said never.
shocking to me, but it's true. Then he approaches the next president, George W. Bush. That was with Bill Clinton at the end of his term in 2000. He approaches the next president and said, let's, in our next missile deal, let's align on this, and we'll designate Iran as our common enemy. Iran, which is now, effectively in league with Russia, thanks to our insane policies. But, and George W. Bush, to his credit, is like, well, that seems like kind of an innovative, good idea. And Condi Rice, who's like one of the stupidest people ever to hold power in the United States, if I can say, who's like monomaniacally anti-Russia because
she's anti-Russia and she's insane, bro. Have you ever thought?
Advisor at Stanford who was or something during the Cold War. No, we can't do that. And Bush is just weak, and so he agreed. It's like, what?
He's just weak, guys. Oh, I'm weak, and Condoleezza, help. I'm weak. I can't do it. Power. Listen. What a mistake that was, not letting Russia be a part of an alliance, a military alliance, It's not like Russia abuses every lever they have in any kind of world organization to, push their line, bro. It's not like they're part of the Security Council that is constantly vetoing everything. It's not like we're in an economic alliance with Europe by providing Europe energy resources, and as soon as the war started, they wanted to use that as a blackmail thing, to blackmail Europe with the lack of energy being provided. Yeah, what a great idea, to tie your life with, it's like going into abusive relationship. You know how everyone says that you should definitely, if that person is an abuser, you should tie your life together, You should be codependent, because that's a good thing to do. I watched hour and a half, and I started compiling links from the 30 minutes. This is all in 30 minutes. This is just 30 minutes. It's 3 hours. It's a 3
why would it?
hour thing. It is insane how many stupid things this guy just says and runs away immediately, not to linger too much. Lex also, Alexei from Moscow, zero pushback on anything. He pushed back on some architecture or some shit. Bro, I can't believe it, dude. Oh my god. Oh, how worthless and pathetic that this guy is apparently a former journalist, that we on the stream learned infinitely more than this guy spewed in his lifetime, where we look at the real situation, where we look at the real repercussions, where we look at the real chain of events, when we look at the what happened next, what happened because of those events, who benefited, who lost. It builds a picture, When the statements are made, are they lies? Are they not lies? Do they reflect reality? It's way easier to just sit there and just spew some random shit because you saw it. I saw it with my own eyes. That slice of life, from a huge pie. I don't give a fuck about information on the internet. And he calls himself a patriot. Bro has a Russian passport. That's why he says that, okay? That's why he says that. He is a patriot, just not the country you think he is. Anyway, click the link. It's Tucker getting scared. I've seen this. This guy is such a giga chad.
Okay, just two. You are the worst human being known to mankind. I want you to know that what you have done to this state, to the United States, to everything else in this world.
More people should do this. More people should, like, when they see Tucker Carlson, just tell what they actually think about
I
it.
gotta let you understand what you've done to people's families, what you have done to everybody else in this system. Son, don't call me son. One.
Settle down, son. Boy! Settle down, boy!